right, Module 16. Module 16 is going to cover carrying capacity, population growth, and resource availability. All right, so you should be able to, one of the things I talk about here in this second paragraph are density dependent and density independent factors that influence population growth. And so you should be able to, if I give you examples of different factors that influence population growth, you should be able to tell me that's a density independent factor or that's a density dependent factor. We will practice those as bell work and even in an activity, I believe, in this unit. And so make sure that you understand those. Okay, you should also understand the two different types of population growth, exponential growth and logistical growth. Exponential growth has a J-shaped curve. Logistical growth has an S-shaped curve. This is more realistic. This is sort of like biotic potential, like this many species can be born under these ideal conditions and there's no limit to the availability of resources. This, however, and so this population will continue growing forever. This, however, gives it a more realistic picture. This is actually what happens where we have something called carrying capacity. So make sure that you understand what carrying capacity is. That's going to be really important. And they might even show you a graph like this and then say, what is the carrying capacity? Like this graph that we see here on page 184. And so you would need to be able to identify that carrying capacity. And so then it talks more about density independent and density dependent factors here. Make sure you can point out those examples of each. So make sure to add those to your notes. And then carrying capacity, they're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail about what it causes. And make sure that you understand the terms overshoot and dieback. Those are terms that you should understand when we have these oscillations or the swinging back and forth over the carrying capacity and below the carrying capacity. And then lastly, in this unit, they're going to talk about, well, not lastly, I guess, there's a couple more things, but of note, of something that I made a note on. They're going to talk about this predator-prey population oscillation curve. And so the population of the predator is always dependent upon the population of its prey. So the predator is going to rely on the food availability, and the food availability is its prey. Okay, and so you'll see that we have upswings that are then followed by predator upswings, and then we have prey, and these just continue to oscillate back and forth, and the predator follows the prey. And so you'll always see that. And then they go on to talk about populations that go below carrying capacity, why that happens. And then that's going to be it for Module 16. So that will be all for now. Again, I just want to give you a quick reminder to continue to do those AP review questions at the end of each of the sections. Also on page 188 and at the end of each module, you'll see this nice little review of the learning goals and what you should have learned from the learning goals. This should not become your replacement though for reading the chapter, because you're going to miss out on a lot of the examples that they give you, which is really important for APES to be able to describe examples. Okay, I'll see you next time for Module 17.